Ever looked at people who practice for hours and hours a day, or thought to yourself, I need to practice for hours and hours every day to actually get anywhere good? Well, I won't just stop that mentality right now, because I'm going to show you a way in where you don't need to practice a lot, but you just need to be consistent. Now, undoubtedly, if you practice for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours a day, you're going to make quite a lot of progress, especially if you're keeping it up every day. But if you just practice 7 hours one day every week, you're really not going to get very far. And I think there's one simple reason for this, and it's the consistency you put into your playing. You could practice for 5 minutes every day for a week, and that would be absolutely fantastic for your progress. Work on one little thing each 5 minutes, and over a year you can build up 365 lots of 5-minute sessions, and that's quite a lot of hours when you add it all up. I'm not going to bother to do the maths, but you get the idea. And you could work on these little things, and then you can have 365 little things to your vocabulary, and you can imagine you'll get pretty far. Whereas if you maybe just practice for, let's say, 5 hours once a day every week, then you're going to get 5 lots of 52 weeks, so that's 5 times 52, which will give you 260, I think, and that's 260 hours a year. And while, you know, that's a lot of hours a year, you are going to make some progress. You probably actually won't make as much progress as the 5 minutes a day. And there's a thing about music which I think everyone needs to understand, and luckily a lot of people do understand, and loads of people go with this process and abide by this, and I'm certainly the same. You need a level of self-discipline when it comes to your practice. Practicing every day for no matter how long. If you've got loads of time, you can practice for ages, but if you've only got 10 minutes a day, and I'd say 10 minutes is a really good amount of time, even 15, maybe half an hour if you've got it, ideally half an hour, but 10 minutes is totally fine, and even 5 minutes, as I've given in a previous example. If you've got that self-discipline and that space where you can practice and play for even 5 minutes every day and work on a little thing every day, in a month's time that's 5 minutes of 30 little things, and you can get a lot done in a time like that, especially when you're dedicated and you're focused to your practice. If you know you've only got 5 minutes of practice in a day, hopefully you're going to be putting quite a lot of time into that, well, not time, but quite a lot of effort into those 5 minutes and really get something good out of it. And if you're consistent and, you know, you self sort of motivating in a way, and, you know, you tell yourself you need to practice 5 minutes every day, you need that self level of discipline, and you do that, you'll find you'll get very far. And often it's the best way to do it. Little and often is what I keep saying to people when they say they struggle with practice. If you practice for a little bit every single day, you are going to make so much progress over a year. You can't expect to go from beginner to pro overnight. This is a process which takes quite a lot of time to build and become good at, and there's no way around it, frankly. You just need to put the hours in. But still, if you practice little and often, like 5 minutes a day, you're going to notice a lot of progress over a year, over 2 years, over 5 years, over 10 years. That is a lot of 5-minute daily sessions. But if you really can and you're at home and you're doing nothing, then just go and practice. Especially with something like the bass, we can really practice at any time of day. Just practice without your amp and just use your ears like that, because the bass is pretty quiet. No one else is going to hear it. You don't have to worry about noise. And just practice a thing which you want to practice over that day. We have the joy to sort of practice whenever we want. If you find yourself in a space where you can practice, you've got an instrument available to you and you're doing nothing, then do practice as well, because it does fill the time. And while it's good to have moments of nothing, it is good to fill some of that time with practice per se. But if you square away a dedicated amount of time for your practice and like, right, that's the only bit of the day I'm going to do practice, then that's totally fine as well. And you do need that level of self-discipline and consistency, which is going to get you there in terms of your musical progress. Ultimately, you're the one that's sort of got to get all the stuff down. Your teacher can teach you as much as they can teach you. They can teach you the concepts and the ideas and make you understand what you're playing. But ultimately, it's you which still has to put the work in and doing all of these little sessions is great. Now I've got perhaps a little bit more time on my hands and I play for probably about an hour each day, although I'm juggling 3 different instruments at the moment, so I perhaps sort of mix and match, but that's 365 hours a year, and over 3 years that's over 1,000 hours, and over 30 years that's over 10,000 hours of practice, and you know, it adds up quickly. I'm just going to say, if you do 1 hour a day in a week, that's 7 hours of practice. So it goes from 5 minutes to 5 hours or something obscene like that. Yeah, it's not really obscene. If you have the time, use the time. But you want that self-discipline to practice daily, and don't think to yourself, oh, I need loads and loads of time to practice. If you've got the time, use it. But if time is limited, like I know it is for many people, don't worry about that. Just square away 5-10 minutes each day to practice consistently, and you will keep it up. So please do that. And also, there's one thing which I do want to add about this consistency. Once you're in this mindset, you may feel like when you go out with family or friends on holidays, or you're out somewhere for a few days, you've got to bring an instrument with you to keep practicing. I often find in these situations you don't really have the right headspace, the right mindset to practice in these scenarios, and usually practice sort of out of the necessity rather than, oh, this is the point every day where I need to practice and I'm going to enjoy this. And you know, you're often like, oh, I need to practice instead of spending time with your family members and things, and you often find you don't get the most productive stuff done with that anyway. So I often find you don't need to bring your instruments if you're going out on a holiday or something like that. Take that as a little break, and then as soon as you get back, get straight back into it. You will notice a little bit of I'm perhaps a little bit rusty here, but you pretty much feel the same even if you brought your instruments along. And it's another thing which you have to worry about less perhaps when you're out on a holiday or a break. It should be a break after all. But that's it for today's video. I hope that you've enjoyed, and now you realise that I don't need to practice for hours every day to get good. If I practice for a short amount of time and consistently every single day is best. You don't need to do 2 times a day or anything obscene like that. Just once a day, 5-10 minutes, up to an hour I'd say is a good sort of time frame. 5 minutes to an hour every single day. Depending on how much time you have, you're going to make a lot of progress in that year. So please take this on board, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!